All right, so diving into factoring with GCFs, greatest common factors. So this warm-up really kind of explains and helps you understand GCF. So we're going to distribute this A, and whenever we're distributing, we're always multiplying. So we're going to multiply that, and that'll be 3A squared plus 7A. We'll do the same thing here. That will be a negative 2m to the third minus 12m squared plus 2m. Be very careful with your signs. And here we're going to distribute as well. That will be 4x to the fifth y minus 8x to the third y squared. You just add those exponents. So what we're doing today is instead of going this way and just distributing, we're going the opposite way. We're asking, how do I go from here back to there? And that is factoring. We take out what is common in all of the terms. We're doing the opposite of distributing. You've done distributing forever. Now we're going to learn how to go backwards and do factoring. So as far as what is factoring, factoring in simplest form and factored form, what we could talk about here, I don't really know what examples they give. Let me pull it up real quick just so that I can know. I don't have it. That's okay. So pretty much factoring in simplest form would be what we have before. So 3a squared plus 7a. And then in factored form, we would have that taken out. So I don't know what we have for the answer key there, but for this one, factoring in the simplest form would be here. And the factored form would be this one. So we're going backwards, kind of like what I was talking about. And polynomials that cannot be factored are called prime. That is also really important. However, do not think that just because you don't understand how to factor something, it's automatically got to be prime. I've had homeworks and stuff turned in the past where there's like 20 problems and 15 of them they put prime. That's not the case, okay? You just need to learn how to do this greatest common factor. So the very first thing we're going to do is focus on the coefficients. All right, we're going to check the coefficients for a GCF. So for number one, look at 3 and 12. Do they have something in common? Yes, they do. They have 3. All right, so we're going to put that 3 within open parentheses. And then we're going to look at the variables. Do we have a variable that is present in all terms? So in other words, is this x present in both terms? No, it is not. So we can't take out a variable. So if that's the case, we divide by our GCF, which is 3. We write a 3 with an open parentheses, and then we just divide. Very similar to what we did yesterday. And then you can check your work by distributing. I'm not going to require you to do that, but we can see that if we take that 3 and multiply it back out, that would be 3x plus 12. All right, so for number 2, we'll do the same thing. We will look at the coefficients, and obviously we can take out a 7 from both of them. And is that y present in all terms? No, it is not. So we're only going to have a 7 as our GCF. And then we just divide, which will leave us with y minus 1. Now for number 3 and 4, we have 2 terms, but we do not have like variables. So we're still only going to have a number coming out of this. Now 8 and 36. This is a really important thing, and I want you guys to see this. I could take out a 2, but is 2 my greatest common factor? Well, no, it's not, but I'm going to show you something, okay? If you didn't see that, and if you kept going with 2, you would see that you have a 4m plus 18n left. And if you look at 4 and 18, they're both even. We can take out another 2. So if you took out another 2 from that and divided by 2 again, and multiplied that 2 with the 2 that we originally have, that would leave us with a 4 on the outside. So in other words, what I'm saying is if you don't pick the greatest common factor from the very start, you can keep taking out factors. Now, obviously, if I had done this and took out a 4 from the beginning, it would be a lot faster. You would go straight to our final answer, and that would be a lot quicker than doing all those steps. But it is okay if you don't see the greatest common factor. Just take out another one of those smallest and make sure you multiply them together, right? There has to be a 4 on the outside. So I'm going to scroll down to number 6 and show you one where you do take out a variable from both of them. So what we have in common for the coefficients, look at the numbers first, is we have a 4. And then you notice that there's a y present in both of these. So we take out the y with the smallest exponent. So that will be y to the first power. We write this 4y out with an open parentheses. And when we divide out, we're going to be left with y minus 6. Now you can take this and multiply it back out to check and see if you're right. If you ever are kind of a little confused, not sure if you did something right, take it and multiply it back out. So 4y times y will give you 4y squared, and 4y times negative 6 will give you negative 24y, so we know we're correct. For number 7, sometimes we do have problems, or better yet, I'll stick with the right side. Sometimes we do have problems where there's only one variable present, and that's perfectly fine. For 14 and 18, the only thing we have in common is 2, and then we do have an h to the first power that is present in both terms. So we'll do 2h with an open parentheses, 7g, and that h cancels out. Minus 9, and those h's cancel out, and there we go. That's it. 2h is our GCF. For number 10, what we have in common here is an 8. We do have a b in both terms. I'm going to take the smallest one, which will be b to the first. We also have a c in both terms, so I'm going to take the smallest one, which will be c to the first. And then all we need to do is divide. 16 divided by 8 will give me 2. B's cancel out, left with 1c. 24 divided by 8 will be 3, and the b's and c's cancel out. For number 12, I love that they threw this one in there because sometimes you're not going to be able to take out a coefficient. You are not going to be able to take out a number, you just take out the variables, which is perfectly fine. So we're not going to take out a 1 because if you divide anything by 1, it stays the same. So we're just focusing on the variables, and if they're present in both terms, we take out the 1 with the smallest exponent. So the x is present in both terms, we take out the 1. The y is present in both terms, we take out just one of those as well. And then we just divide. Not too bad. Now, you see things like 14 through 24 and you get a little scared. I want you to focus and take it step by step, just like you did before. It's really not difficult math. It's just a lot of steps. Okay, so 18 and 48, both of those can be divisible by 6. As far as the a goes, we do have an a in both terms. We're going to take out the smallest. We do have a b in both terms. We're going to take out the smallest. And we do have a c in both terms. Now, this is the first time where we have a variable where the smallest one is greater than 1. So we're going to take out c squared from both of these. So we have 6abc squared, and we will open our parentheses, and now we just divide monomials just like you've learned to do. So 18 divided by 6 will give me 3. A squared divided by a will leave me with 1a. The b's will cancel out, and the c's will cancel out. So there's the first term. Then we have 48 divided by 6 will be 8. A and b cancels out, and c to the third, c to the second will leave me with just 1c. Now you can always look back to the inside and see if there's anything else that we can take out. And here, there's not. 3 and 8 can't be simplified. There's not an a in both of them. There's not a c in both of them. So that is our final answer. And though it was a lot of steps, not too difficult math. Okay? So 16 will do the same thing. I'm trying to pick out the more difficult ones. I think the right side's a little more difficult. So 9, 18, and 24. Well, 9 and 18 are divisible by 9, but 24 is not. So we're going to have to do a 3 here. Now looking at the r's, there is an r present in every term, but it's only to the first power. And there is a s present in every term, but it is also only to the first power. So we have 3rs as our GCF. When we divide, that's going to leave me with 3r to the 7th s minus 6r minus 8s. All right, for 18, we have 12, 36, and 6. They are all divisible by 6. So I did the numbers first. So let me make a little checklist here. We'll do the numbers first, which is coefficients is the actual vocabulary word there. Then we will look at variables. And we're asking, are the variables present in all terms? And if so, take the smallest, and then we divide. All right, so now we're looking at the variables. Is an A present in all terms? Yes, it is. We take the smallest, which is squared. Is a B present in all terms? Yes, it is. We take the smallest, which is also squared. So we're doing 6a squared b squared for both of these. All right, so divide 12 by 6. That will give me 2a to the third minus 6a squared b minus, now here's the thing. 6 cancels out. A squared cancels out. B squared cancels out. I have to put a 1 here. When division cancels out, when something is put over top of itself, it doesn't go away. It cancels out to 1. So be very careful about that. If I had just put a parentheses here and not written out the 1, if I distributed, I'm only getting 2 terms. And I got to get back to my first line. And I want to make sure that that first line is the same. So I need to make sure I put that minus 1 out to the side. Don't forget about it. For number 20, all of these are divisible by 9. No, 6. 6. We do have an x. Oh, no, we do not have an x in this term, so we can't do that one. Do we have a y in all terms? No, we don't have a y in the middle one, but we do have a z in all terms, and that z is just to the first power. So that will be 6z, parentheses, 3x squared y minus 4xz plus 6yz squared. All right, so now 22 and 24. For 22, they are all divisible by, let's see here, would 4 work? Yeah. We don't have an x in all of them, but we do have a y in all of them. So that will be 4y, 4xy, plus 7x, plus 2. I guess they get a little easier as you keep going down. Well, I spoke too soon. Here's 24. Really not difficult, just a lot of stuff to keep up with, okay? So we divide everything, focus on the numbers first. That's going to be 3. Then we look at the a's, and we have a to the first power. That's the smallest one. For b, we have b to the second power. That's the smallest one. And for c, we have c to the first. So we have 3ab squared c. All right, that'll leave us with a squared minus 3abc plus 5b squared c squared. And that is your final answer. So take these step by step.